How are you doing this morning?
I'm doing okay.
You were working at KFXM, and KMEN had a spot for a news director. And when it comes to being a news director, I wanted to ask, is there anything that you'd rather do?
Yes, there is. I would rather run down Willamette Street naked with my hair on fire eating a monkey puke sandwich.
I'd like to remind the listeners you can get a good monkey puke sandwich at John's Sandwich Shop, offering all the best in primate regurgitation pitas. That's John's Sandwich Shop on Main Street.
You know, I told Dan Nims that once. He said, I bet every time you walk into the pet store, they say, quick, gag the monkey. Dan Nims never forgot that.
So, did KMEN, did they just hire you away as the news director because they needed a news director, or because they didn't want KFXM to have you anymore?
Well, actually what happened, my time slot was the last time slot where they weren't number one.
Oh.
They hired away the competition.
Well, that's one way to do it.
Yeah, you know, Roy Cordell used to do that all the time. If there was competition, you know what he would do? He would call one of his friends in a totally different city and say, hey, you want to listen to this guy? He's really good. And then they'd call him, and they'd offer him more money than he was making. So, well, there went the competition.
Wow, that's devious and underhanded.
Well, sometimes Roy was that way.
Well, hey, all's fair, right? I mean, it's business.
All's fair in love and war.
Actually, that's a brilliant tactic, and I don't see why it wouldn't be fair.
Well, I think it's a pretty much common practice in the radio business.
I would imagine so. You went to KMEN in, was it 65?
65 to 67.
Did you do an air shift there, or were you strictly the news director?
I was the news director, which I hated. J. Michael Fleming hated that job. And I used to pull a Saturday night record show.
Oh, so you did a little bit of DJing.
Yeah, from 6 to midnight on a Saturday.
Ah, okay. Did you work with anybody on that?
No, you're all by yourself.
Save a little money there.
In fact, 6 to midnight on a Saturday, we didn't even read news. We just played records.
KMEN was the big rock and roll giant at the time.
They came into town and just kicked KFXM's ass.
So there were two rock and roll stations at the time, KFXM, KMEN. KMEN was cleaning up in the ratings.
Oh, yes, they were.
You did a couple of years as news director at KMEN.
Well, yeah, actually, had an offer in San Diego from a PD whose name was Fred Kimmel that I had worked with at KMEN, a real nice guy. He called me and he said, Jack, we're going to have an opening on the midday show at, I believe it was KDEO, either KDEO or KSDO, I'm not sure. He said, would you like to come down and look at it? And I said, oh, sure, I'm always interested. So we grabbed you kids and we went in the car, got in the car, drove to San Diego, looked it over, and it really looked good. And I said, I'll tell you, Fred, give me a couple of days to think it over. He said, yeah, no problem. We drove back to Redlands. We were living in Redlands at the time. We just walked in the door, and the phone rang, and it was Uncle Roy. He said, hey, we're putting on a 50,000-watt station up here in Eugene, Oregon. My first question was, where in the hell is Eugene, Oregon?
That's often people's first question.
He said, and we're going to have profit sharing. And that's what made the difference, profit sharing. I was ready to go to San Diego until I heard profit sharing. That never happened.
Oh.
Never happened.
So you made the decision right there to head to Eugene and be part of the KPNW startup.
Yeah.
People that you worked with at KMEN.
I worked with Fred Kimmel. I worked with Johnny Darren, Chuck Christensen, and Roger Christian's brother, Ron.
Any nice remembrances of working with them?
Yeah, they were nice, very nice people to work with.
I think you named Johnny Darren.
I did name Johnny Darren.
Oh, wait, no, you named the Johnny Darren at KPNW after the Johnny Darren at KMEN.
Yeah, because when we hired people to go on the air at KPNW, this kid walked in. His name was Larry Cushman. He showed me his credentials, had a great voice. And in fact, I have a picture of him. It's on the audience steelers.
Oh, he's the one with his hat pulled way down low and he looks really dark and sleazy.
Yeah. That was Larry. He said, I don't want to use my name. He said, I got to think of a new name. How about Johnny Darren? He said, yeah, I like it. So there you go.
You didn't work with Larry Cushman at KMEN.
No, he never went there.
Tell me about the Johnny Darren that you did work with at KMEN.
He was the music director at KMEN. The guy had a really good ear.
How so? He was good at selecting music?
Very good. The guy had a good ear, and he knew when a hit was going to be a hit before it was a hit. Johnny Darren, the real Johnny Darren, later went to L.A. It's in that radio book.
Johnny Darren, D-A-R. Johnny Darren, K-H-S, K-R-L-A, K-D-A-Y, K-M-E-N. Born John Christian Miller in Rapid City, South Dakota. He grew up in Ventura. When he was a youth watching a DJ perform, John told him, when I grow up, I want to be a disc jockey. The DJ responded, you can't do both.
You can't grow up and be a disc jockey. That's a funny story.
Johnny arrived in KRLA in December of 1968 from KGB San Diego with early stops at KACY Oxnard and KMEN San Bernardino, where he was MD.
Right.
Okay. Says here that he's been searching for Jack Fleming to sue him for stealing his name. No, it doesn't say that. You ended up in L.A. briefly.
Yeah, I was only there about 6 months, and I decided I didn't want to take you and Lisa and raise you in L.A.
So for that 6 months, were you driving back and forth from San Bernardino to L.A.?
Oh, yes, I was. Every day.
Of course, this is 1960-something, so traffic wasn't...
It was 1964. Oh, traffic was very bad. Traffic's always bad in L.A.
Traffic was probably bad in L.A. in 1848.
With all those oxen.
Get your horse out of my way. Move your ass! And the horse you rode in on.
Right. Actually, Bob Griffin from KFXN went to KMEN too.
Oh.
The PD's name was Bill Watson, went by the name of Mr. Kix, K-I-X. He had a bright yellow Chevrolet sports car. What do they call those things?
Bright yellow sports car.
Had a plastic body.
You mean like Stretch Armstrong?
It was a Chevy.
I called mine Steve.
Okay.
I'm not being helpful here.
No. It was a Chevy Corvette.
Corvette. Okay, that makes sense.
Right.
So we had a shiny yellow Corvette.
And the license plate was M-R-K-I-X.
Ah, Mr. Kix.
Right.
I hear they named a breakfast cereal after him.
And he's suing.
So he's suing those flakes.
Yes.
So you've got Mr. Kix, you've got Johnny Darren. Anybody else?
Well, yeah, Chris Charles. His real name was Chuck Christensen. He was in town a couple of weeks. He had my phone number, so he called me one late afternoon. He said, Jack, I cut my hand really bad, and he said, I don't have any insurance. Can I come up to your house? So he came up to the house, and Mom and I took care of him. We bandaged it up and made sure there was no glass in the wound. He slept on our couch that night.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, nice guy.
Mm-hmm.
The general manager, his name was Jerry Julstead. He was a salesman at KFXN, and he was such a damn good salesman that KMEN hired him as the general manager.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, apparently he did an okay job.
Did a super job. And he was a real nice guy.
Well, that's nice to hear.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
It has been my pleasure, Michael. We'll talk to you later.
I'll talk to you later. You have a lovely day.
And you as well.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.